This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Spring 2020 ECES SUNY Pre-Departure Orientation. My name is Duncan. I am the ECES team member who is primarily in charge of the pre-departure process here at ECES, and I am joined with Bianca from SUNY New Paltz.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I know most of you know me, but I am your study abroad advisor here at New Paltz, and Duncan and I work together to make sure that you get over to Prague and everything is smooth sailing from here.
And Bianca's going to help me out today by keeping an eye on the chat box and answering any questions that you guys have throughout the meeting, and especially as your primary advisor on the SUNY side of things. She'll also be able to help you with any questions about how things like transfer back to the university, how the university kind of sees the ECES program, etc. So don't hesitate to reach out throughout the meeting if you guys have any questions, and take the time while we're here to be engaged with it. So you have probably read through my emails. This as well will be recorded for your reference later. So if you have a question for something like this that pops up later, don't worry, you can always go back and reference this webinar. And as well, today we're going to be going over the visa application process step by step. And so especially once we get into it, I might be going through all of the boxes fairly quickly. And so if you don't get something on the first go through, don't worry about it, like I said. You can go back and reference this later. So with that, we're going to get started. And I would say the first thing is for those of you who have not yet accessed the ECES website, I just wanted to pull that up. I mentioned in my acceptance emails to all of you that you should go and register now. This way you can kind of get a handle on what your courses are going to be like, what the activities that we're going to offer are. Of course, our course registration doesn't start until December 2nd, but we always recommend to start to register for the ECES website at least a week prior, but the earlier the better, just so that way if you have any issues with registering, then you can email me in time so that we can troubleshoot. So if you go over here to log in on, well, first off, the URL for the website is etces.ff.cuny.cz. Most of you have already used this to send in your applications on our side of things. You'll go to the login button at the top right-hand corner of the screen. And from this, this is going to be the login interface that you see. You're going to hit, if you have not already registered, register under new user. And from here, you can see you'll have to type in your first name, your surname, and your date of birth. So if you have any issues, if you get any error message while trying to register, please send me an email with your full name and your date of birth. There can be a number of issues, including day and month being switched on your birthday, or maybe your middle name was accidentally put as well under your surname. So just please send me an email with your full name and birthday so that I can troubleshoot if you have any issues accessing this. And so let me show you a little bit about what the website is going to look like once you actually log in. So, of course, this is going to look a little bit different than what your side of the website looks like, but I want to point out at least a few things on the website itself. The first rule that you should keep in mind when you come to the Czech Republic is that the Y and the Z on the keyboard are switched. And so this can sometimes screw you up if you're trying to log in. Okay, so this is going to kind of be your homepage on the internet while you're at the ECES program. Like I said, this is going to look a little bit differently for you all. once you have logged into your profiles, through here, it'll have your name as well, like it has mine up here. And then you'll be able to access all of the courses you're registered for, any activities that you're signed up for. You can also see your attendance and your grades for these courses. So this is really going to be something that you reference a lot when you're here. And as well, when you go to register for courses, you're going to log into your ECES profile. And then over here on the left-hand side of the screen is this Golden Courses tab. And so this is where you will find courses to register for. And as well, when we open up our trip and activity registration period, starting January 7th and going on for about 2 weeks, you can go to the activities tab over here. And let me just show you some of the stuff that we have set up right now. Let me bring it to spring 2020. And if I can, oh, hold on. The presentation is hiding the filter button. Okay, so you can see here we have examples of all of the activities that we're going to be adding to the website. This is not our final list of activities. We are just tentatively starting to put these activities on the website. But you can see here, and I'm going to talk more about activities later as well. We'll have a mix of film screenings as well as weekend trips across Europe. And we have some of our optional orientation, or sorry, mandatory orientation meetings up here right now as well. So you'll have a few options for trips to register for after the registration period opens up in January. So just keep an eye on this as well, because we're going to be adding more trips and activities to it up until this point. So if you want to check this out too, we have short little dialogues and descriptions of the trips. So just take the time to check this out when you get the chance. So we're going to jump right back into the presentation. So we can go over a bit of the administrative housekeeping. So of course, the big thing that you'll have to do before you get here is send in your Czech visa application. Of course, Bianca has already been in touch with you about this. And the most important thing is that at the beginning of next week, she's going to be receiving your confirmation of study in Czech, as well as your confirmation of accommodation. I'll go over those a little bit more in detail and what you need to do with them after the fact, but as you can see here, this is the complete list of everything that you will need for your visa application. So like I said, if you're watching this at home, you can just take a second to pause the video and just kind of like list everything out. But we're going to be going over everything step by step. And as well, this list is in your pre-departure guides that I emailed you in your confirmation emails. And as well, this pre-departure guide is on our ECES website. If you log in, you can access it from there. So first, we are going to go over the visa application form step by step. I'm just going to turn my screen off while I pull it up really quickly. Okay, so do you see here? This is what the visa application form will look like. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So we're going to go through this step by step. And like I said, if this is moving a little bit too fast for you, then don't worry about it, because like I said, you can go back and reference this later. So first off, oh, and also you can find this PDF not only on the website for the consulate generals and embassies, but also we have it linked in the pre-departure guide. So if you pull up the PDF form, you can access it from there. So if you look here, first, of course, is going to be your surname and your first name. And as well, if you have a maiden name at all, if you've changed your name, you can write this here. One thing to keep in mind though here is that Your name must match exactly what is in your passport. And as well, please, if you have a middle name, write it under your first and given names. So like I would write Duncan McLean rather than just Duncan here. And this is important because in the Czech Republic, there are not, middle names really aren't common here. And so they count this as your first name. And like I said, this must match what's in your passport exactly. Otherwise, this can elongate the visa process. So please just write this. And as well, keep in mind when writing your date of birth that this will be written in the day, month, year format. So day, month, year. So this is February 19th, 1988. So every time that you're dating something for this program, you should be writing it in day, month, year format. Place of birth, this will be the town that you were born in, as well as the state or province. So if you cannot fit, for some reason, the entire name of the place, you can start to take out these commas and spaces, but you have to fit in everything here. As well, country of birth, original nationality, and current nationality. Please write the 3-digit code. For most of you, this will be USA, but if you were born somewhere else or you have another citizenship, you can write this down as well. But of course, if you are applying with your American passport, please write USA for current nationality. And so sex and marital status are straightforward. Father's surname, father's name, mother's surname, and mother's name. Please write this down as it would be currently. So for example, if your mother has changed her surname, or your father has changed his surname to his, their spouse's surname, please write it down as it is currently. And you can include any other names in the first name column, like you would with your middle name. Type of travel documents, this is also straightforward. The vast majority, if not all of you, will be applying with an ordinary passport. You will definitely know if you are applying with another type of travel documents. As well, down here, please write the number of the travel document found on your information page. And of course, the country it is issued by. And again, the date of issue and the valid until date in the day, month, year format. And so one thing to keep in mind as well is please check the valid until date. If this will expire less than 6 months after the end of the program, then please, as soon as possible, you will need to renew your passport. This is requested by the Czech government just in case like anything should happen, and we really do recommend it as well. And so for most of you, of course, this won't matter, but please at least double check the valid until date in the passports and get in touch with us as soon as possible if it will expire within 6 months of the end of the program. 17, if you reside in a country other than your country of origin, say you're not an American citizen and you currently reside in the United States, please just fill this out. For numbers 18 and 19, you'll be writing your current occupation as a student. And here, this fake student that we have goes to the University of Miami. So you will write your school here. And as well the address of the school and the school's telephone number. And please, for the address of the school, if you can fit it in, please include the state or the state abbreviation. And after this, numbers 20 and 21, you will be copying exactly as we have written here. This is going to be, the ECES program is part of Charles University Faculty of Arts. And so this is our official address. Please write 20 and 21 exactly as we have it here. Number 22 is only if you have stayed previously in the Czech Republic for longer than a tourist visa. So for most of you, this will not be valid, but if you have any issues finding or filling out where you stayed if you were here prior, then reach out. Number 23, the address for the stay on the territory of the Czech Republic. Please write this down exactly as it is. This is the dorm address. So you will all be staying in a dorm, so please write this down, number 23, as it is. 24, you can skip. And 25, please do not write 111. The program lasts for 110 days. So please write down 110. So 25, 110, please. Number 26 and 27 as well. This is only valid if you have stayed in the Schengen zone prior, or if you have been issued any other visas in the past 3 years. So of course, this will be in your passport if this is valid for you. 28, the purpose of stay is study. And for the date of arrival, you will be arriving on the 27th of January 2020, and you'll be leaving on the 16th of May 2020. So like I said, this is 110 days, and please, again, do not copy what is on the screen here. Write 27/01/2020 and 16/05/2020. And so for the place of entry in the Czech Republic, for most of you, this will be in Prague. And so please write Praha. And then for the means of transport, most of you will be coming by plane, but of course it's not uncommon to land somewhere else in Europe and then take a bus or a train to Prague. So of course, just however you plan to travel, please fill us out accordingly. For number 33, please copy all of this exactly as we have it here. This is, oops, sorry. Number 33, please copy this exactly. This is our head of international programs here at the university, and she is your legally inviting person. So especially if you're watching at home, you can take the time right now to pause and copy this exactly as we have it. Number 34, you'll be funding your stay. You can check off yourself. And for the means of support during your stay, please check off cash and credit cards, mostly because we really don't recommend traveler's checks. They're not very efficient here, and most people don't use them. So please do not worry about them. Use credit cards and cash. And especially we'll talk more about the cards when we go over the proof of finances through to the application. And for the travel and health insurance, you'll be getting, I believe it is Travel Blue health insurance through the SUNY system. So please, you'll need to submit this or is it Maxima, Bianca?
Yeah, it's not SUNY Blue. It's through UHC, and there'll be more information on health insurance at pre-departure. And okay, I'll let you know what to put there.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, be in touch with Bianca about this part. So the next page, the second to last, is extremely circumstantial. This is if you have a spouse or any children. Otherwise, you can leave this entire page blank. So don't worry about that. And then number 38 and 39, these are to be your home address and telephone number back home. So please don't put down your university address unless you count this as your permanent address, which for most of you it won't be. So this is where most likely your parents or guardian are. So please write down where you're from here, as well as the telephone number for it, where you can be reached if the embassy needs to reach out to you at all. And as well, please put your email address, of course. And so at the bottom, you will just have to sign, date, and write the place where you filled this out on this last page. So this fake student filled this out on the 19th of October, 2018 in Coral Gables. So just fill this out according to how you're filling it out. So we're going to go back to presentation. So that was the full visa form. Like I said, don't worry about it if we went through that pretty quickly, especially if you're watching this at home, then you can always go back and reference it. And so now to the individual supplemental documents. For the document confirming the purpose of stay, this is one of the documents that you are going to have sent to you through Bianca's office. And these should be arriving about early next week there. And so you're going to receive 3 copies of this document, 2 in Czech and 1 in English. The English copy is unofficial, and it is for your records and as well so that you know what is written on this. But please, you will be submitting the Czech copies of these to the embassy. And as well, the proof of accommodation is also going to be 2 copies in Czech and 1 in English. The difference here is that you will have just a few things to fill out on this form, although we will include the sticky notes that you see here on the sample picture to help you out with this. So you'll just have to fill out your nationality, your home address, which is your permanent address, your passport number in the information page of your passport, and of course sign here. And like I said, this will be 2 copies in Czech and 1 unofficial copy in English for you. And so, like we mentioned, the health insurance, you should be in touch with Bianca for. And then after this, criminal history background affidavit. If you are a US national, this is extremely straightforward. You will just have to fill out this form and sign it in front of a notary, saying that for no reason you would be barred entry to the Czech Republic for legal reasons. And like I said, please fill this out and sign it in front of a notary, especially if you're living in a larger city. You can find a notary at the bank sometimes. Banks will often have them. You can call ahead and check, or there are plenty of public notaries that accept payment to notarize documents. So this, of course, varies city to city. And if you are not a US national, you will need to get a background check from the police of any country that you have lived over 6 months in for the past 3 years. So please, as soon as you are hearing this, if this applies to you, go and request those documents, because you will need to get these translated into Czech for the purpose of the visa application. And through my experience, this can take quite some time, up to about a month, depending on the police or depending on the country or province. So please do this as soon as possible. For the document confirming financial resources, this will be, this is tied to the next slide as well, the photocopy of a credit card that you have, the front and back of it, or a debit card. And you will write on it, I certify this is an original copy of your debit or credit card, and have this notarized as well. So please sign this in front of them. And this will be tied as well to a bank account statement. The most important things about this is the bank accounts must be in your name. You can have your parents or guardian as a cosigner on the account, but the most important thing is that on the statement, it should have your name somewhere so that the embassy can see that it belongs to you. And as well, you must have a balance of at least $3,000 US in this account, although we do recommend having a little bit extra just in case the exchange rate between Czech crowns and US dollars changes. Most importantly, too, if you don't have enough money in your personal accounts or anything like this, what students have done in the past is they'll have a family member or a guardian put enough money in their account to get them above 3,000 to where they need to be. And then, of course, what you do with that money, if you give it back to your guardian or parents after the fact, after you've gotten your notarized account statement, is of course up to you. But the most important thing is that for the purpose of the visa application, you must have this notarized and on the statement. And of course, you don't have to wait for a weekly or monthly statement or anything like this, as long as you meet the requirements, and especially as long as it matches the card that is tied to your name that we mentioned on the last slide. And so next, just a few additional reminders. You must submit 2 copies of the data page of your passport. Sorry, excuse me. And so this is this is contrary to the rest of the materials for the application. So everything you must submit must have 1 copy photocopied at least. For the data page of your passport, you have to have 2 copies in addition to the actual passport itself. And as well, you have to submit 2 original passport-sized photos. And I want to be clear, this is not just like you taking out your phone and taking a picture of the data page of your passport, but rather you should be getting pictures done at either the post office or at your passport office that are about 35 by 45 millimeters. This is passport specification size, and as well, you can't have any sunglasses on or anything like this. So please make sure that these are valid. And of course, if you need to, you can look up what constitutes passport specifications. And as well, please, while you're doing this, if you haven't already, you can submit a copy of this photo to myself or Bianca. Over here at the program, we'll use these photos for your tram passes, as well as for your housing packet passes. So we can definitely use these if you haven't already submitted this as well. And we do recommend submitting the visa application in person if you are able. I'm going to go over in just a second where you can submit your visa application depending on where you live. But please, if you are able to, we do recommend making an appointment with the embassy or consulate general and going in person, so that way they can tell you whether or not you have everything, especially if there's some discrepancy in your application. They can let you know on the spot, and then you don't have to wait for mailing times or anything like this. And so especially if your permanent address is in New York, the place you'll be applying to is in New York City. So if you can swing by, that is very highly recommended. If you can't, then we do recommend using a private courier service like FedEx, UPS, or something like this, or your postal service with tracking and express services. Of course, if you are mailing in your package, also include a prepaid self-addressed overnight envelope within the application itself. Otherwise, the embassy won't send your passport back, so you do need to include an envelope to come back to you. And as well, like I said, please, if you use a service like FedEx or something like this, have tracking on the envelope, so that way you know nothing happens to it or it doesn't get lost on the mail or something like this. And that way as well, you can keep us updated if you need to. And I think most importantly, please keep a scanned copy of every document that you're submitting. So that way you still have all of these documents to reference on your own time while you're waiting for your visa application to process. So that way, if anything happens, you know, that's a big worst case scenario, and I don't think it ever has happened, but please, just so you have those to reference just in case. And so once again, this is the complete list of the documents that you'll need. So of course, let us know if you have any questions. Other than this, oh yeah, please submit this as soon as you receive your final documents. Just so that way, if there is any issue with processing time or if you miss something, then you have a bit of leeway time. And as well, if you're unsure if you're missing something or if something will work, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask us so that we can double check for you, because we would much rather you not have to keep mailing your passport and your application back and forth, and so that we can make sure that you get everything processed in time. And so I'm going to bring up the list of places that you will be applying to. Let me see. So this is for American citizens. Depending on where your permanent address is located, say you're not from New York or anything like this, we have the full list of places, and this is in your pre-departure guide as well, if you want to reference this later. But for instance, if maybe you go to school in New York, but your home address is in Kansas, then you will actually be applying to the Consulate General in Chicago. Or if you live at home in Nevada, you will be applying to the Consulate General in Los Angeles. And so please, before you send out your visa application, double check exactly where you're going to be applying to, because it can increase the amount of time it takes to process your application if you accidentally apply to the wrong embassy or consulate general. So now on to the fun stuff. So of course, like I said, let me know if you have any other questions about the visa things. But we're going to go over now a bit about what to expect after you arrive in Prague, and as well as essentially the first full month of the program. So I have up here the most important program dates throughout the entire semester. I'm going to be talking about the orientation week in a bit more detail in just a little bit. And as well, you're going to be having a pre-semester Czech language course. This is mandatory for the first 2 weeks right after the orientation week. And this is worth 3 full credits. That will be taking place before the actual semester begins on Monday, February 17th. And then our add drop period will end on Thursday, February 27th. One thing to keep in mind here is that, like I mentioned before, and I will be sending out a reminder email as well, but the course registration period will begin on December 2nd at 4 p.m. Prague time. So that is 4 p.m. Central European time. So please make sure, especially as I know that you guys haven't gone through daylight savings time yet, or it hasn't ended rather. So please make sure, especially after this ends, that you are you know what time is in Prague for December 2nd. And past this, you will have until, like I said, February 27th to add or drop any courses that you want. And especially, we highly recommend that you get more courses pre-approved than you think you might need, especially so during this period that you are trying new courses. And especially too after the course registration period starts. If you're not able to get into a course, or if you get here and you start a course and it isn't really what you expected or anything like this, that you have a bit of leeway in adding and dropping classes. So this is just something to keep in mind, especially while you're still at your home universities. And one date as well to please mark in your calendars right now. I know, especially as this date gets a little bit closer, that you are most likely pretty excited to start planning trips and activities and all of this. But please mark April 24th as the official makeup day. This is a mandatory class day, so please do not plan any trips or activities or anything like this on April 24th. And I won't get too much into the end of the semester in mid-May, because you haven't even gotten here. I don't want to get you too sad about missing Prague already. Like I mentioned, course registration will begin December 2nd at 4 p.m. Prague time. Our courses are allotted on a first come, first served basis. So please, especially if there are courses that you are extremely keen to take, you should sign up as soon as possible. So please keep this in mind. Although if you're unable to get into a course right off the bat, and you're really interested in taking it, and it's already full, you will be registered onto the course's wait list. And that way, as anyone else drops out of the course, the waitlist will be moved up. People at the top of the waitlist will be moved into the course, and the people at the bottom will be moved up the waitlist. So you have, like I said, until February 27th to get your course schedule finalized. After this, and please keep this in mind, that after this date that we have right here of February 27th at 11:59 p.m., and this is Prague time, after this, everything that you are signed up for on the ECES website will be final and will be on your transcript. So you will receive grades for any of these courses. Please keep this in mind. We give you from the beginning of December to February to add and drop courses. So we really do want to make sure that any courses that you don't want to take, you are deregistered from in ample time. And like I mentioned, please have extra courses pre-approved just so you have a little bit of leeway when choosing your courses. So for the official arrival date, like I mentioned, it is Monday, January 27th. I'm going to be sending out after this webinar, alongside the recording of the webinar, I'll be sending out our arrival details form. This date is actually wrong of January 2nd. I apologize for that. But on the form itself, it will say, I believe, January 9th. So January 9th, you must fill this form out by then. And that way, if you are arriving in Prague on January 27th, we will arrange transportation for you from either the airport or the train or bus station to get to the dormitory. So please fill that out as soon as you know when your flight or train will be. But like I said, this only applies if you're arriving on January 27th. If, for instance, you're arriving to Prague a few days early, say you and your parents want to check out the city or something like this, and you plan a trip ahead of time, and you'll already be in Prague, it will be up to you to get to the dorm on the official arrival date. Although ECES staff will be there for the entire day until about 4:30. So especially too, if you're planning to arrive kind of towards the end of that, don't hesitate to reach out and let us know, just so we make sure to catch you and help you get settled. And so on that topic, let's talk a little bit about the dorm. So like I said, on arrival day, we will be at the dorm to help you get settled until about 5 p.m. Please let us know if you can't make it by then, but you do need to be in Prague and checked in with us at the program by January 27th. And especially if you're just getting off the plane, please don't put your passport away yet. You will need to fill out a few forms for the Czech Foreign Police provided by the dorm, and you'll need your passport for that. But especially as you are starting to plan packing and everything like this, don't worry about bringing any sheets or towels or pillows or anything like this, as these are all provided for you by the dormitory. We have wonderful, fantastic cleaning staff who will take care of these and clean these for you. And so you don't need to worry about packing these, especially as I can imagine you're going to buy things over here, souvenirs, new clothes, everything like this, books. So don't worry about bringing these things so you don't overpack or anything. And especially to toiletries such as soap, shower gel, toothbrush, or toothpaste. You can buy these for extremely cheap here. I think this is a little bit more relevant for like shower gel and things like this. So please, if you're worried about overpacking, you can get these cheaper things here, and especially on the arrival date, we can point you out to any shopping centers or anything like this, or corner stores after you arrive here. So don't worry about that. Okay, so we're going to talk about housing. So before we leave this slide, as you can see here, this is actually a picture of one of our double rooms at the dorm. You have a bit of space in the dorm rooms themselves, and also I know this is the case at some of your universities, but these dorm rooms are connected to larger suite areas, and you can see this suite area here with the dorm room itself being where that light is coming from, down the end of the hall. And so you'll have It depends on the size of the suite itself, but you'll probably have one or two other dorm rooms living within your suite. You'll receive your room assignments after you arrive here. We cannot tell people where they will be living ahead of time. As you see here in the suite, there's a small kitchenette along with a sink and a mini fridge to put any of your shopping or anything like this. And as well, within our dormitories, we have a few community kitchens. We have one on each floor that is used by all of the students here at the dorms, including other international students. And as well, on the fourth floor, we have a kitchen and common room specifically just for ECES students to use. So we really recommend using this as, especially after you just first get here. It's a really nice way to meet the other people in the program. And as well, we have a full kitchen in there, as well as an oven and a stove, complete with utensils and plates and pots and pans to cook with. The most important thing, and I really can't stress this enough, you would genuinely be surprised. Please, if you use this communal kitchen, wash your dishes after yourself. The cleaning ladies are wonderful, but they will not wash your dishes for you. So please, like I said, cannot stress this enough, wash your dishes if you're using the communal kitchen. Especially because this is a wonderful, beautiful space just for you. So please take care of it, not only for yourself, but also for your fellow students. And so we also do have a housing coordinator living on site to help you out with any questions or issues you might have around the dorm. And especially too, if you need recommendations for anything, she's able to help you and we'll be able to give you her phone number and contact info after you arrive here. And her name is Susanna, and she'll be coming out to all of the cultural events with us as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about those in just a second. One thing to keep in mind as well is that Monday through Friday, we do have breakfast provided for you. Breakfast ends at about 9 a.m. So it goes from about 7 to 9. And it's especially really nice to sit down and talk with everyone before you head off to class. But keep in mind that this is a traditional continental European breakfast, so it's rather light. It has deli meats and vegetables and cheeses and breads and pastries. But please don't expect French toast or waffles or anything like this. And I've also included for you, it was already on the visa form that you can see here. This is the dorm address if you want to see exactly where you'll be living in Prague. And so this is kind of the bird's eye view of Prague, and especially this center area is the traditional Old Town. Keep in mind that your dorms and your tram stops, which are on the left-hand side here, this is a little bit outside of the actual really touristy old historical Old Town. But the important thing is you're only a 10-minute walk from Prague Castle, Pražský hrad. And after this, it's about a 12-minute tram ride to get into town to go to your class buildings. And the little star on the right-hand side, just across the river, is our main classroom building. And the one further to the right is our Jędryska office. So these two dots are where all of your courses will be held. Like I said, it's about a 12-minute tram ride to get to school. So I know especially if you're living like on campus back home, it's not going to be the same if you can't just roll out of bed and walk to courses or anything like this in 5 minutes. You'll have to plan out for about, like I said, 12, 15 minutes if traffic's bad or anything like this. But it's a wonderful, beautiful view. And it's a really nice commute, I think. So we'll also just zoom in a little bit. Like I said, on the left, the Paryżowa 6 address is the dorm. The Pohořelice is the tram stop you will most likely be going to get to the course buildings, which are at Náměstí Jana Palacha and Jędryska. So you'll definitely be seeing this map a lot more as you get closer to arriving here. But also something to keep in mind is that if you have a lot of time, you can just walk down past the Radchani and have a nice walk of the old traditional town and the medieval area of Prague. So I really do think it's a wonderful area. I might be biased, but I think we'll win you over after you get here. Like I said, we're going to talk about orientation for a little bit. And so the official arrival date, like I mentioned, is going to be Monday, January 27th. We'll be there all day, and in the evening, we'll have an optional, a few optional meet and greet dinners. You do not have to come to these, although especially as you'll be traveling all day, and you're probably just going to get into Prague hungry and a bit excited to meet everyone. This is a wonderful way to come out and have some traditional Czech food, svíčková, goulash, things like this, and as well meet ECES staff and the other students in the program. And so the next day is when we're going to start with most of our administrative issues. So we'll have our housing orientation and as well get you your student ID cards and have a larger welcome meeting where we will go over more of the program in depth, as well as the academic culture, things to expect if you're living in Prague, here to read the tram and subway maps, etc. And the next day is a little bit more fun. We'll have a scavenger hunt through the city for you, and as well, ice skating under the Jiřího Poděbrad TV tower. And so this is a good place if you know who to skate, to show off a little bit and have a fun time with your fellow students. And even for those of you who don't know how to skate, you can either give it a shot, or there's a wonderful cafe right next to the skating rink that sells Czech treats and hot chocolate. And I think it's a lot of fun, even if you don't come out, and you can just hang out with everyone. And as well, we are going to be inviting Czech students to this. So it's a great way to meet local students who study things such as English literature, English language, American history, etc. They're always really excited to meet you guys as well. And I'm sure you'll want to meet a few Czech friends while you're here. The end of the week is going to be our mandatory orientation day trips. Like I said, you can sign up for this when our event and activity registration period starts on January 6th, also at 4 p.m. Prague time. And these are first come, first serve. So especially if you have a preference for which of these trips that you are going to be going on, we do ask that you sign up for these as soon as possible after the registration period starts. And so you're going to have 4 options to choose from on each day. And so on the website, you'll see right now we have all of the trips uploaded for the first day and one of the options uploaded for the second day. So you can check those out for, check a little bit about that out right now after the webinar is over. But just please keep in mind that if you don't sign up for only one trip on each of these days, that at the end of the trip registration period, we will automatically place you so that you are only attending one trip on one day. It's very common. Sometimes people will take 2 trips on the same day, etc. So please keep this in mind if you have a preference. And after this, for the next 2 weeks, like I mentioned, are going to be the intensive Czech language course. This is a full Czech, or rather a full semester course in the course of 2 weeks. And this will also help you get a bit of baseline knowledge of Czech, as well as teach you a little bit about the culture of the place that you're going to call home for the next 3.5 months. We will have 2 separate time periods that you could be in these courses, either in the morning or the afternoon. I apologize ahead of time, but we cannot take requests on which of these sections you'll be placed in, but we will keep you updated closer to your arrival to let you know about this. So here, just to kind of wrap up the schedule, is the first 5 weeks of the program. So like I mentioned, the first week is all orientation. After this, the next 2 weeks are the Czech language courses. And one thing to keep in mind are that unlike our normal classes, which are only Monday through Thursday, the Czech language course will be Monday through Friday. So please don't plan any trips or anything like this through the duration of the Czech language course itself. And then at the end of the second week of classes, The end of the ad drop period will be at the end of the day on February 27th. Like I said, you can reference this calendar anytime if you want, especially if you're watching this at home. And we'll also have a number of optional trips and activities that you can sign up for. These you can sign up for as well when the trip and registration period opens on the 6th of January. I've included a link down at the bottom where you can find the URL to find these, but as well, like I pointed out at the beginning of the webinar, you can find this on your ECES profile. Just a few of these that we have offered in past semesters are the Budapest weekend trip, Dresden day trip, the Český Ráj hiking trip, and then of course we have a number of film screenings. Throughout the semester, every week, we will have one cafe and gallery excursion hosted by our dorm coordinator and cultural coordinator, Susanna, where she'll bring you to art openings or museums, things like this, as well as grabbing coffee on the way or lunch. So we'll be posting information about these on the website as well throughout the semester. And as well, oftentimes we will set aside tickets for you to attend operas or ballets here in Prague. So those will be announced on a case-by-case basis through email notifications. So just a few things to wrap up, especially now that I'm sure you're getting a bit keen to arrive here already. Just do a bit of research ahead of time. You know, you're going to be here for 3.5 months. You might want to look up a little bit about the history of the Czech lands, the political situation, see who's prime minister, why there's a prime minister and a president, etc. And you can also take the time to maybe start learning Czech and get a head up on the Czech language course. We recommend using either Memrise or Duolingo. Duolingo especially, I know a lot of people use, and you can access both of these on phone apps as well. A few things to keep in mind as well. We will talk about these after you arrive here, but especially on the first day or if you arrive to Prague early. Just keep in mind that Czech culture might be a bit jarring, especially if you've only ever lived in North America your whole life. People here might seem a bit closed off and standoffish to you. But that's just because people in the Czech Republic are usually a bit more reserved when it comes to people they don't know or strangers. So especially if you smile at somebody on the street that you don't know, they might take this to be a bit strange. But also if you're at like a restaurant or something like this and the waiter and waitress are not smiling at you or anything like this, don't worry, they're not smiling at anybody. So this is just kind of the way the culture is here. But don't worry too much about it. And just something to keep in mind. For customer service and tipping, tipping culture is also very different here. Generally, if you're paying for dinner, you can tip 10% if you really loved your meal. Or other than this, what's extremely popular is just rounding up. So say you buy a nice dinner for about 185 crowns, which is maybe about $7.50. You can just say that you'll round up to 200 crowns, which is about $8, and this would be completely normal. And so also, you're going to get used to using public transportation here. So if you're from a place that's a bit smaller, we'll be going over this as well at our welcome meeting and teach you how to use and read the tram signs. Please just note that we really don't recommend using taxis or Uber here. Uber is actually illegal in the Czech Republic, and taxis, especially if they think that you're a tourist, and I really do think this is the case anywhere, taxis will maybe take you for a longer route and run up the meter so that you have to pay extra, especially if they think that you don't know the location or anything like this. So really, we recommend using the trams and the subway. They can get you just about anywhere, especially because they run 24/7. And a few practical considerations prior to your arrival here. Please call your credit card company and bank ahead of time just to let them know that you'll be here. Arguably the most terrifying thing would be if you get over here, you try to use your card for a transaction, and then your bank marks the transaction attempt as fraudulent because you didn't let them know that you're going to be in Europe. So please let them know ahead of time so that you're not cut off from your money or anything like this. And also, too, it's a good idea to maybe take out a bit of cash ahead of time, just so you have something in case this does happen. Most places around do accept card now. This is kind of a semi-recent thing, but especially please just have some cash on you just in case of emergency. And as well, after you get over here, ECES staff can help you know which banks and which ATMs to use if you need to. The current exchange rate is about 1 USD to 23 Czech crowns. So like I said, about 200 crowns, give or take, around $8 US. And so it'll definitely take a bit of getting used to, but you'll get used to it after you're living here for a bit. And things to do prior to your arrival here, please buy European-style adapters for your electronics, especially because it's harder to find them after you've already arrived here. So if you go to an electronics store or get them off of Amazon prior to your arrival, we really do recommend that. And also on the topic of packing, please leave any hair dryers or hair straighteners at home. This is because the voltage can often not work with the outlets here in the Czech Republic. And so we've had these appliances catch on fire or break, just stop working. So please just leave hair straighteners and hair dryers at home. You can get cheap alternatives or cheap ones here. So don't worry about packing those or anything like this. And mind the difference as well, especially if you're going to be traveling between Europe and the UK, the difference between European and UK adapters. So just make sure that when you're buying adapters that you're buying them for the Czech Republic. And after this, you can also, if you don't already have one, now go to www.isic.org and apply for an international student identification card through your home university. And especially if you haven't booked your flight yet or anything like this, oftentimes some flight providers, airline companies will offer discounts to students using the ISIC card. So if you go to the ISIC website, you can check out what kind of discounts you can get for it. And it is a bit of a small fee ahead of time, but especially after you get over here as well, there are a lot of museums and bookstores that accept the ISIC card for a student discount. So definitely check into this to see if it's something you might be interested in. And so this is just about the end of the webinar. If you guys have any final questions, you can take the time to ask Bianca or myself them. And as well, Bianca, did I miss anything? Do you have any final comments or?
No. Just let us know if you have any additional questions.
Mm-hmm. And of course, like I mentioned, I'm going to be sending a recording of this webinar out to you all after the fact, as well as a follow-up email that has a few points, as well as links to not forget and other things. So you'll be getting that essentially right after this webinar is over. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for attending. Yeah, and so I hope you guys are getting a bit excited. Prague's a really beautiful city, and we really can't wait to host you and share it with you. If that's all for questions, then I'll see you all in Prague, and I'll email you shortly. Take care, all.
Thanks, Duncan.
Yeah, of course.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. Bye.
This conference will now be